Take a moment right now. Look down at your feet. Not later, not tomorrow, right now. Slide your foot out of your shoe or slipper and look closely at your ankle. Do you see that faint line? That soft indentation where your sock has been pressing all day? Maybe it's shallow. Maybe it's deep enough that when you press your finger into it, it leaves a dent that doesn't bounce back right away. If that's happening to you, don't ignore it, because what you're looking at is not just normal swelling, and it's not always your heart. In fact, for most people over the age of 60, and it's not always your heart. In fact, for most people over the age of 60, it has nothing to do with the heart at all. It's something else, something almost nobody has ever explained to you properly. And tonight, if you don't understand what's happening, your body is going to deal with it in a way that silently disrupts your sleep, stresses your system, and keeps the cycle going day after day. I'm Dr. Elena Morris. For over 20 years, I've worked with patients who were told the wrong story about their bodies. Patients who were given pills for problems that weren't actually coming from where people thought they were. And ankle swelling is one of the most misunderstood signals I see. Because what looks like a simple fluid problem is actually a movement problem, a drainage problem. And once you see it clearly, everything starts to make sense. Before we go further, take a second and subscribe, because what I'm going to show you today, most people don't realize until it's been affecting them for years. Now let's go deeper, because this is where things shift. Most people believe the body only has one fluid system, blood. They think fluid builds up because the heart isn't pumping properly, or because of salt, or because of aging. But your body actually has two separate systems, two completely different networks moving fluid every second of your life. The first one is your blood system. That one has a pump, your heart. It pushes blood forward, pulls it back, and keeps everything circulating automatically. You don't have to think about it. It just works. But the second system, that's the one nobody talks about, the lymphatic system. And here's the critical detail that changes everything. It has no pump, none, not even a weak one, nothing. It only moves when you move. Every step you take, every time your calf tightens, every time your ankle bends, you're manually pushing fluid upward through that system. If you don't move, it doesn't move. Now think about your typical day. You wake up, you sit for breakfast. You sit in the car, you sit at a desk, or on a couch, or in a chair. Hours pass. Maybe you stand a little, maybe you walk a few steps. But for the most part, your lower body stays still. And while all of that is happening, fluid is slowly leaking out of tiny blood vessels into the surrounding tissues of your legs. That's normal. It happens to everyone. But here's where the problem begins. If that fluid isn't being pushed back out, it stays there, quietly building, drop by drop, hour by hour. By the time evening comes, your ankles feel heavier, tighter, slightly swollen. And when you finally take your socks off, you see the mark, the indentation, the signal your body has been trying to show you all day. Now, here's where most people get misled. They go to a doctor, they explain the swelling, and immediately the conversation goes to the heart, or salt, or water pills. And yes, sometimes those are relevant, but in a large number of cases, they're not the real cause. Because the fluid isn't sitting in your bloodstream, it's sitting in your tissues. And there's a big difference. Because once fluid leaves the bloodstream, it's no longer easily controlled by medication. It needs movement, it needs pressure, it needs a system that can physically push it back. And that system is your lymphatic system. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed this pattern? Your ankles look almost normal in the morning, but by evening, they're noticeably bigger, heavier, more uncomfortable. Then you go to bed, and by the next morning, they look better again. That pattern alone tells you something powerful. Because heart-related swelling doesn't behave that cleanly. This does. This is fluid collecting during the day and redistributing at night. And here's the part most people never connect. When you lie down, all that fluid that built up in your legs starts moving back into your bloodstream. Slowly, quietly, while you're trying to sleep, your body suddenly has to deal with it. Your kidneys kick in. You wake up to use the bathroom, maybe once, maybe 2 or 3 times. You think it's just age, but it's not just age, it's timing. Your body is handling fluid at the wrong time of day. Instead of clearing it while you're awake, it's forced to deal with it while you're asleep. And that is what keeps the cycle going. Now I want to pause for a moment because there's something important you need to understand. Not all swelling is harmless. There are situations where swelling is serious, and ignoring it would be a mistake. If one leg suddenly becomes much larger than the other, if there's pain, redness, or warmth, that needs attention immediately. If swelling comes with shortness of breath, chest discomfort, or extreme fatigue, that's not something to manage at home. That's something to check right away. But if your swelling follows a pattern, gradual, even on both sides, worse in the evening, better in the morning, then what we're talking about here becomes very relevant to you. Because that pattern points strongly toward a drainage issue, not a pumping issue. And once you understand that difference, you stop chasing the wrong solution. Now let me tell you about something most people never test, but it reveals everything in seconds. Press your thumb into the front of your lower leg. Hold it there, 10 seconds, then let go. What do you see? If the skin springs back instantly, that's one thing. But if it leaves a dent, a soft pit that slowly fills back in, that tells you fluid is sitting in the tissue. Not moving, not draining, just waiting. Now think about how long that's been happening. Not just today, but yesterday, last week. Last year, that fluid didn't just appear, it accumulated, slowly. And your body adapted to it. That's why it feels normal. But normal doesn't always mean healthy. It just means familiar. Now here's where things become even more important, because after the age of 60, your body changes in ways most people don't realize. Your blood vessels become slightly less elastic, your tissues become softer, more prone to holding fluid, and your lymphatic flow becomes slower, not because something is broken, but because the system depends on movement. And movement often decreases with age. Less walking, more sitting, more time spent still. And the system responds exactly the way it's designed to. It slows down. Now here's the part that surprises people the most. Even small changes in movement have a massive effect on this system. Not intense exercise, not long workouts, just simple, consistent activation. Because the lymphatic system doesn't need intensity. It needs rhythm. It needs repetition. It needs signals. And when those signals stop, the system doesn't fail dramatically. It just quietly slows down until one day, you notice your ankles look different, feel different, and you start wondering why. Now in part 2, I'm going to show you something very specific. A simple routine that takes just a few minutes, but directly targets the exact mechanism causing this buildup. Not guesswork, not general advice. A focused approach based on how your body actually moves fluid. Because once you activate the right pathways, you don't just reduce swelling, you change the pattern entirely. And that is where real results begin. Now let's pick up exactly where we left off, because now you understand something most people never do. This is not just about fluid, it's about movement, it's about timing. And most importantly, it's about giving your body the right signal at the right moment. Because if you don't, your body will still deal with the fluid, just not in a way that works for you. It will wait until you lie down. It will shift everything at night, and it will keep interrupting your sleep over and over again. So the goal is simple. Don't let your body handle this at night. Handle it before you go to bed. Now I'm going to walk you through something very specific, a short routine. Simple, no equipment, no strain, but every part of it has a purpose. And if you follow it consistently, you'll start to notice changes faster than you expect. Not just in how your ankles look, but in how your legs feel, and even how you sleep. Before we get into the routine, I want you to understand one key idea. Your lymph system doesn't respond to force. It responds to flow. That means aggressive movement, intense pressure, or overexertion doesn't help. In fact, it can make things worse. What works is gentle, repeated motion, steady signals, and proper direction. So as we go through this, focus on control, not speed, not strength, just smooth, consistent movement. Now let's begin. About 90 minutes before you plan to go to bed, find a comfortable place where you can lie down, a bed, a mat, even the floor. Then slowly lift your legs up and place them against a wall. Your legs should be straight, your hips slightly elevated if possible, and your feet above the level of your heart. This position alone already starts doing something powerful. It removes gravity from the equation. All day long, gravity has been pulling fluid downward into your legs. Now, you're reversing that effect. You're giving your body a chance to let that fluid move back upward. Stay in this position. Don't rush. Give it a minute. Let your body settle. And then we begin the first movement, slow ankle flexes. Point your toes away from you. Then pull them back towards your face. Slowly, controlled. Do this about 20 times. Each movement acts like a small pump, pushing fluid upward, not dramatically, but steadily. Now transition into ankle circles. Rotate your feet in one direction. Slow circles, 10 times, then reverse the direction. Another 10. This helps activate different pathways, different angles of movement. So fluid doesn't just move in one channel, it moves more completely. Now here's the part most people skip, but it's one of the most important. Breathing. Place your hands gently on your abdomen. Close your mouth. Breathe slowly through your nose, and let your belly rise as you inhale, then fall as you exhale. Do this for a few minutes. Slow, deep, controlled breathing. Because inside your body, right behind your diaphragm, there's a major lymphatic channel. And every deep breath acts like a pump, pulling fluid upward through that system. So while your legs are elevated and your ankles are moving, your breathing is helping complete the pathway. This is where everything starts working together. Now, after about 10 to 15 minutes, slowly bring your legs down. Don't rush. Roll to your side. Sit up gently. And now we move to the final step, light manual stimulation. Using your hands, start at your ankle, and with flat fingers, gently stroke upward toward your knee. Slow strokes, always upward, never downward. You're not pressing hard. You're guiding. You're encouraging movement. Do this about 10 times on each leg, and then pause. Because at this point, something very noticeable usually happens. You'll feel a shift, a lightness, and very often, within minutes, you'll feel the need to use the bathroom. That's not a coincidence. That's your body processing the fluid you just helped move. The fluid that would have otherwise stayed trapped or waited until the middle of the night to shift. You just handled it early on your terms. Now here's where consistency matters. Doing this once will feel good, but doing this regularly changes the pattern. Your body starts adapting. Fluid stops accumulating the same way. Your evenings feel lighter. Your mornings feel more stable, and your sleep becomes more uninterrupted. Now I want to add something simple, but very powerful during your day. Because what you do during the day determines how much your body has to deal with at night. Every hour that you're sitting, take 30 seconds. That's it, just 30 seconds. Keep your heels on the ground and lift your toes up, then lower them back down. Repeat, about 20 repetitions. This is like turning the system back on. Or if you can stand, rise up onto your toes, then come back down, over and over throughout the day. So fluid doesn't get the chance to sit for hours. Because the longer it sits, the harder it becomes to move later. Now let's talk about something people often misunderstand, water. Many people with swelling start drinking less water because they think more water means more swelling. But that's not how your body works. When you're dehydrated, your fluid becomes thicker, slower, harder to move. So instead of reducing swelling, dehydration makes the system less efficient. What your body needs is consistent hydration, not large amounts at once. But steady intake throughout the day, small amounts, regularly, so your system stays fluid, responsive, able to move what needs to move. Now there's one more pattern I want you to notice, because this tells you whether you're on the right track. After a few days of doing this routine, look at your ankles in the evening, not the morning. The evening is where the difference shows. If they feel lighter, if the indentation is less, if your legs don't feel as heavy, that means the system is responding, and that's your signal to keep going. Because progress here isn't instant, but it is noticeable, and it builds over time. Now step back for a moment, think about what's really happening. You're not forcing your body to change. You're supporting a system that was always there. A system that just needed the right signals again. That's why this works. Because it's not artificial, it's not external, it's aligning with how your body is designed to function. So tonight, before you go to bed, don't just lie down and hope your body handles everything. Take a few minutes, guide it, support it, give it the chance to do its job while you're still awake. And tomorrow morning, when you wake up, take another look at your ankles, not with concern, but with awareness. Because now you understand what your body has been trying to tell you all along. And once you understand the signal, you can finally respond the right way.